Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It is Monday, June 10th. Welcome to the weekly project call. We've got some exciting updates for you today. Let me get this loaded up. As we start off the meeting, let's take a moment to acknowledge some friends of Mozilla. The Mozilla Tech Speakers team was incredibly busy last week, spreading the word about Mozilla and the open web. In total, Mozilla Tech Speakers delivered 20 talks and workshops to developer-facing audiences last week. Get ready for an earful, because we would like to extend a huge thanks to the following tech speakers who spoke at various conferences and events: Ali, Ankit, Bob, Caroline, Claudia, Christoph, Giannis, Hujing, Iona, Irene, Jayesh, Cairo, Leonardo, Michael, Roland, Rhyme, and Trishul. Thank you all for your time and effort. Let's give a big round of applause to our tech speakers. We'll reload to see if anyone else came on the Friends of Mozilla. It doesn't look like it. With that, we move on to upcoming events and our calendar for the week. The Homebrew Website Club is meeting on Wednesday, June 12th around the world. Homebrew Website Club is a growing worldwide network of meetups for all levels of web users who want to take back their web experience, including their online identities and content from social media silos. We've got this event happening in Berlin, Nuremberg, London, Nottingham, Madrid, New York City, and San Francisco from 5:30 to 7:30 local times. Again, this is Wednesday, June 12th. June 13th, we have a Homebrew Website Club happening in Brighton. This happens every Thursday. There are details and RSVPs for all of the Homebrew Website Clubs in the wiki agenda. And with that, we move on to our speakers for the day. First up, we have Andrew Krug coming to us with the IT Minute. Andrew, take it away.
It's time for the Weekly Minute Update, where we tell you all the things IT is doing to empower Mozillians in their mission to keep the web, a global public resource, open and accessible to all. Our first update this week comes from the InfoSec team. In partnership with Trust and Security, 2 new policies have been drafted to help with the governance of Mozilla-owned accounts and Mozilla devices. You can find links to the draft policies here, along with an anonymous way to provide feedback. There will also be an open security policy forum in Whistler for any other discussion on the topic. Questions, reach out to Tristan Weir. Next is an update from Data Analytics. You may have seen the announcements around the Join Firefox campaign that we're moving forward with to try and create more personal relationships with our users. In order to help drive that campaign, we've created the Trailhead Launch Dashboard. The Trailhead Launch Dashboard has a number of useful metrics to help us be agile in our decision-making and track the success of the Trailhead platform throughout the launch. The Trailhead Dashboard is open to all paid Mozilla staff and is generally available at the link below. With those 2 updates, that's the minute. I'll see you next week in Whistler.
Thank you for that update. Next up here in Mountain View, we have David Bryant with the Emerging Technologies Weekly Update. Let me see if I can switch that for you.
Okay. Right. Hello, everyone. You've heard us talk about our Mozilla Research Grant Program. We run 2 tranches of grants twice a year, once in the first half and once cleverly in the second half. We just completed on May the 31st the call for proposals for the first half of the year round of the Mozilla Research Grant. We got 83 submissions, which we've been getting in the sort of, 80s to 120 kind of range for submissions the last couple of times, which is great. Tremendous interest in collaborating with us from a research perspective. It results in a lot of time spent by the team that reviews the grant proposals in multiple rounds, and that's the process we're about to start now. One thing that's different for this round of the grants, which you may have heard about previously, is that we've tried to provide more structure. Because you can imagine when you tell people we have a bunch of money and we like to give it to you to do some research, you get a lot of interest. And having a way of sort of helping people understand the topics that we're interested in or the kind of research that we think would be most impactful to collaborate with people around. And so we produced this time around, and there's a link to it here in the notes, 12 specific questions that we were interested in researchers outside of Mozilla helping us get a handle on in 3 categorical areas: growing the web, new interaction modes, and privacy and security. So stay tuned for that. We'll keep you more informed about which of the 12 grants we actually award, and then we'll start also thinking about how to do the series of grants for the second half of the year. You've heard us talk a lot lately about AV1, in part because we have a goal in ET. We're at the point now, having developed the technology and got it standardized last year, to really help drive adoption. And so we've been working on that a lot with events and other things. But we're also now shipping the latest and greatest AV1 high-performance codec in Firefox. It went out in 67, and people are really excited about it. Although I will tell you that the more we talk about AV1, the more confusing it sometimes gets, because the codec terminology and the technology is not necessarily that familiar to us from a traditional web and browser business. If I ask you what perceptual vector quantization was, you probably couldn't tell me, and I actually probably couldn't tell you either. But to sort of help with all of that, both the adoption part and the explaining part, Nathan Egge in our codec team, manages the codec team, gave a great talk at last week's Videotech meetup in New York City. I've put a link to that video, and he's taking kind of a Mythbusters approach to sort of help get people's brain around the core technology and how it actually works, as well as some of the trends we're seeing in adoption and the fact that this is happening much faster than we had thought, purely even just from a software perspective, not requiring hardware and others to be on board yet. So listen to the talk. You'll hopefully get a better understanding of AV1. You'll know what activity masking is. You may not get to perceptual vector quantization, but we'll save that for a future video. And then the last thing from our update this week, for those of you that'll be at the All Hands in Whistler next week, we're doing our traditional ET Lightning Talks on Wednesday afternoon. That is the classic Lightning Talk format. We got about 12 or 15 or 18 people that will get 4 minutes or so to stand up and tell you all about what they're working on and why they're so excited about it, in a wide range of areas across ET. And we're hoping that you'll have time, for those of you that are going to be in Whistler, to stop by and listen to what we're working on, and then maybe sort of follow up into the demo session that's scheduled right after that, so you can not only hear about that work, but actually see some of it. And I know not everyone will be able to be there, at least everyone listening in, so we'll also work on ways to make some of that content available, maybe through this meeting or otherwise, so people get the benefit of the Lightning Talks and seeing what we're working on. But anyway, that's this week in ET, and we'll see you all in Whistler.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Katie and Nick coming to us from the Pocket Commons with the monthly Pocket update.
Here you go, Katie. All right, let's see if our share works. Push the share button. Yes.
Congratulations.
All right, good morning. Oh, here we are. We're here. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Katie, this is Nick, we're at Pocket. We want to update you on what's going on at Pocket in June. As you know, and if you don't, our mission is to empower people to consume stories worthy of their time and attention. Today, we've been focused on reading and saving, a home where users can capture the things that fascinate them so they become the things that power them. And as we continue to evolve and appear in the new tab, it's more and more about content discovery, shining a light on exceptional content from across the web that fuels people's minds. So what's up right now? We have some exciting things happening this week. It's a good time to announce. Pocket Premium. Ta-da! There is a brand new Pocket Premium experience. And so if you've been to our old page, it was a little bit transactional, getting you to quickly check out. This page, you can see, does a lot more positioning and storytelling to win folks over. The audience, first and foremost, is our own users to get them to upgrade to Pocket. We would like to win them over first. There's also... This is an example of the memberships, a free, an annual, and a monthly. And this is designed to be modular for the teams to continue to experiment with different offers and deals and language to get people to choose premium. We obviously want you to choose the middle one. There's also a new Stripe payment backend as well, which is exciting. That's fully integrated. This is rolling out today, June 10th and 11th. So that's very exciting. So log on and check it out soon. And then also, The Pocket for Web refresh is going live today and tomorrow too. These are all going live together. We talked about this last month, last time we updated. And it's going to blow you away, hopefully. This is one of the fun animated illustrations that will go with our marketing, which will mostly be email, blog, social promotion. And just to remind you about some of the exciting things that are happening with the web refresh, it's been a ground-up rewrite, and it's been in the works for a long time. If you're an app user, it will all look very familiar because basically it's being brought up to parity with what we did in Pocket 7. So an enhanced and improved reader view, more controls enabled to customize the view that you have, a lot of space, really clean, distraction-free, and very exciting though, if you are a web user, you can now highlight on the web, which you hadn't been able to do before. So this is one of the most asked for features in Pocket, and we have it now. So check it out. And we're also using it as another reason to promote Pocket Premium, because what this does is bring all the features up to parity and helps us tell a better, stronger story about why you should upgrade to Premium. I'm going to hand it over to Nick.
All right, let's talk about New Tab. So as a reminder, our goal for this year is to really help Firefox users discover more great content on New Tab. So in Firefox on New Tab, we have recommended stories from Pocket in the US, Canada, and Germany. And so we really want to make that experience as good as it can be, have it reach as many users as possible in Firefox, and just be a really great experience for them overall. And so we had this big milestone in Q3, and we've been rebuilding New Tab so that we can do experiments really easily, so that we can really find out what is that next iteration of the thing that we want to send out to our Firefox users. And this first launch is focused on the US. So we've been working towards Firefox 68 and did a whole bunch of work. We shared a little bit about this last time around performance and polish. And that's because we were originally targeting 68 as our go live milestone for folks in the US. But what was great about this one is our performance numbers were not quite there. We were a couple seconds slower actually than the existing New Tab, and performance is obviously very important to us in Firefox. And so through a lot of great work from the team and across the Firefox team and a bunch of support there, we managed to close that gap and in some cases actually be faster than the existing New Tab. So huge win from the team. Major thank you to Vicky and Mike on the performance team for supporting us and guiding us through that. Really awesome collaboration there. So we have shifted our launch date target to Firefox 69, which is September. And that is because we had to rethink how we were doing some of our studies and experiments that we were running. And that's because there's a lot of important stuff that happens on New Tab. There are searches and top sites and the stories and all of that good stuff there. So we've added an additional study that we're going to run to really make sure we're getting the numbers we'd like to see and have very good metrics on all those really key moments. So we launched our second layout study, which was in the midst of Trailhead and add-on madness and a bunch of other things going on. So major thanks to the team, Shell and the Normandy team for helping us get that live, as well as Reese for helping us get it live as well. So as a reminder, we talked about last time some of the layouts we were testing before, and we learned some things from those. So the good news was all of the layouts showed a really nice lift in engagement on the Pocket stories and the recommendations. This is the one that did best. It has a kind of a hero story, a big one there to catch your attention. But what we also found out is that the 3 stories on top actually worked best for our sponsored stories. So we had tested 18 different layouts. This round, we really wanted to narrow in on like what we might ship first. And so we doubled down on those 3 stories that you're familiar with today, but paired them with additional stories below. So one of those layouts is literally those 3 cards all the way down. This one's actually doing quite well. We're going to see more of that content. It's a similar feed that's up on top, as well as a layout where we have 3 cards on top with various topical content below. This is something we tested in the previous layouts as well. So early results on this is we're actually seeing both a lift for those organic stories overall, as well as for the sponsored stories. So that seems to be going really well. We'll be launching a confirmation study where we pick one of these to launch on June 25th. So that's the Tuesday after Whistler. So we're trying really hard to get all of that wrapped up this week so that we can not bother anyone during Whistler and be ready to launch that right after. We're also doing some work to prepare to ship this in 69. This will basically be turned on in the US through beta. And if anything, if we get any negative results from that confirmation study, we'll prep it off. And then finally, we're doing a bunch of work to improve our sponsored content backend. There aren't really any user-facing changes here, but our ad operations team is super excited. This will help us support more customers and get even more like interesting and diverse sponsored content out there for our users. So that's it for new tab. As always, if you have any questions about Pocket or anything we've talked about today, or even just questions about the product itself, you can always find us in Pocket Questions on Slack. And that is it. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have me, Asa Dotzler, with your weekly Firefox update. Firefox 67.0.1 is our current stable release, though I hear a 67.0.2 is due this morning and may have already shipped. 67 is a significant release. It's a set of releases, actually, that shipped last week that brings the first steps at integrating our Firefox family of products. With Firefox 67, it now means enhanced tracking protection on by default for new Firefox users, an updated monitor experience with support for watching multiple emails, an updated Facebook container that blocks Facebook likes and logins from tracking you around the web, and Lockwise, now available as a synced Firefox extension as well as a mobile app, or as well as mobile apps for iOS and Android. You can read more about the release in some links I've pasted here in the wiki. There's about a dozen stories that I grabbed from the web. I'm sure there's more out there. These were the ones that caught my attention, about I think 6 or 7 in tech press and a handful in mainstream media. So it was exciting to see the likes of Bloomberg and USA Today picking up our release. Firefox 68 is in the beta channel, and that ships to our stable release on July 9. 68 includes About Compat, where website-specific workarounds are listed and can be toggled. It includes automatic fix-up for HTTPS errors caused by antivirus software. It includes web render for more platforms. And last but not least, a full-page color contrast auditor in the accessibility developer tools. Firefox 69 is in the nightly channel, and that ships to our stable release on September 3rd. Over the last week, there have been about 460 bugs resolved as fixed, including these notable few. We've enabled retain display list for the parent process, and this should bring some increased performance to the browser user interface. The new browser protection panel in the address bar now has a toggle for tracking protection. We're splitting out the protection menu from the little I indicator in the address bar into its own indicator. So you may see some changes being noted around that in the upcoming weeks. The accessibility section of the developer tools now has a text label accessibility audit, so this will tell you where you've left off text labels if you're a web developer. And now that we have more than one audit, both a contrast audit and a text labels audit in the accessibility developer tools, we've added an all filter to the checks toolbar. And last but not least, About Support now has an install directory listing. So if you go to About Support, it's easier to determine which browser is running and from which location. That's it for this week's update for Firefox. Next up, we have Harold here in Mountain View with 60 seconds on Firefox DevTools.
Ready? Refresh. Okay. So we got remote debugging for a brand new GeckoView. GeckoView is the new engine for our mobile browsers, and we thought it's time to revamp our existing WebID offering with a better remote debugging. You can try it out already in Firefox Dev Edition on the new About Debugging. Then we, in the realm of UX polish, every time going back to existing features and making them more accessible, more responsive, and more streamlined across all panels, we redesigned the toolbars in both console and network. Network's already in the tree for a while and in I think release now. And now we also have the same for console, where they just shrink better on smaller screens and use less space. Taming the console warning firehouse, you might have all opened a console at times and be overwhelmed with what is happening, so much. So, and especially for enhanced tracking protection, which wants to tell you a lot of things that could go wrong on the web, we now group those nicely for you, so you know you have a bunch of URLs to potentially block, some URLs where storage got revoked, so now they're nicely grouped and you can explore them in your own pace. And the last one is CSS warnings, making them more accessible to know what actually happens. So the 5 Ws, like where, who, and what, and why. We told you a lot about in these warnings already, but now you also get to the elements itself. We show you an inline list of all the elements affected by the warning you see, which makes those way easier to fix, especially on a web compat basis. Also available in Firefox Staff Edition. That's it.
Thank you, Harold. I'm going to do a quick refresh here of the agenda to see if anyone else has come on since the last refresh. It doesn't look like it. With that, we move to our closing section, which is welcoming some new Mozillians. And we've got an update coming to you from Abe in San Francisco.
Those of you who don't know me, I'm Abe Wallen. I'm a product designer in emerging technologies working on voice and assistance. I'd like to introduce you to Jim Maddock, who's joining us for a summer internship from Northwestern University, where he is a graduate student. He'll be working remotely from Chicago. So if you get a chance, say hi to him if you see him in person, or hit him up on Slack and say hi. That's all.
Welcome, Jim. That's it for this week. Meeting note, we're going to be out next week at Whistler, and the following Monday we're going to be recovering from Whistler, so we will be off this meeting for 2 weeks. We'll see you in 3 weeks. Until then, keep on rocking the free web.